we're out in the forest today. We're foraging blueberries, cranberries, chanterelles, basically anything that we can find because it is berry season, and because we had a lot of rain recently, there's probably gonna be some mushrooms. Look at these beautiful blueberries. They're so big. What a find. I think there are more in this area. There are more here. These aren't good anymore, so we'll leave those, but I am gonna take these beautiful ones. Okay friends, I'm back from the forest and I took a much needed shower. I was so sweaty because it's really humid outside right now, and we spent I think almost 4 hours in the forest picking berries. I was there with my mother-in-law, and then after the forest we went to my mother-in-law's garden and I got some more raspberries. We've got golden and pink ones. I've got 2 big cucumbers from her, and her neighbor just harvested his honey, so I got 2 big jars full of local honey. The other day I also bought a jar of honey that was basically produced by a beekeeper that's maybe a kilometer away from us, so it's super close. So yeah, we have these beautiful goodies, and then I'll show you what we got from the forest. We've got some cranberries. Aren't these beautiful? Some of these are not totally ripe yet. I think I'm not gonna do anything with those today because I don't have that much time today to like finish everything that I want to do. So I will take care of those another day. We're probably gonna make cranberry sauce with these. And then this is the jackpot. We got a load of blueberries. I think this is definitely more than 1 kilo. And then we've also got some chanterelles. Beautiful mushrooms. We're gonna clean those up. We're gonna have these for dinner. And these blueberries, I didn't collect all of these myself. I think my mother-in-law collected probably half of it, and she said that she doesn't want to take any home, so I got to keep all of them. She was so nice to let me keep also her half. She said that she still has a lot of blueberries in her freezer from last year. I do also still have some from last year in our freezer, but not a lot. So of these I'm gonna make blueberry jam, and I'm gonna freeze some of them if I have left. And then one other project that we definitely have to do today is make more raspberry jam. I made some I think 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, but we got more raspberries from my mother-in-law's garden, and we can't possibly eat all of those. And raspberry jam is a favorite jam of a lot of people I know, so I love to gift it during the Christmas time. So we're gonna do that today. I don't know if I will do the blueberry jam today as well, because like I said, I don't have that much time left today for these projects, since I also have to cook dinner. If I have time today, then we're gonna do the blueberry jam today. If I don't, I'll do it the day after tomorrow, but we're definitely gonna do the raspberry jam today. So let's start. So on that day when I made the raspberry jam, I started by washing them very thoroughly a couple of times. I used my salad colander for this. It's actually perfect for it because all the water and all the nasty stuff can escape. I just want to make sure when I make homemade jam that I have really clean, nice jam to work with. I also love to gift jam during Christmas time, so when I go through the effort of making homemade jam, I want to make sure it turns out the way I want it to. And at this point, I hadn't added any sugar yet. I just boiled down the raspberries on the stove on like medium heat. And then here I am straining them through a fine sieve just because I want to get rid of all the seeds that are in there. If you have a food mill, this process will be way easier. I don't have one at the moment, but I am planning on buying one just for the sake of canning because I also do a lot of homemade tomato sauces. But on this day, I just used my wooden spoon to really press the raspberries through the sieve, and it worked as well. I ended up with the puree and the juice, which I then started to boil down a little more. And the first time this year I made raspberry jam, I think it actually turned out a little too thick, but this one here I made that day turned out perfect. It is the perfect amount of thickness to liquidy, so it's nicely spreadable. And I just want to mention that I did not add any pectin to this jam. I added lemon juice to raise the acidity just a little bit, and lemon juice is also naturally high in pectin. So I didn't use any pectin powder, which you can totally do. I just prefer not to, because most berries, they are low in pectin, like blueberries are low in pectin and raspberries are low in pectin. And to get a thicker consistency for your jam, there's a couple of things that you can do. You can do the slow boil method, which just means that you boil it down for a longer time, so to evaporate the water, but that can also reduce the freshness of the flavor. So a lot of people will use pectin just to make the jam thicken up a little faster. As you just saw, I also had added my sugar and a little dash of salt. I like to add a little salt. This is the recipe I have always been using. It's my grandma's recipe, just to balance out the sugar. And while I let the jam cook away for another 10 to 15 minutes, I started by cleaning up my mushrooms that I collected earlier that day. And they just smelled incredible. I was really looking forward to dinner at this point, and I was actually pretty tired. After I finished cleaning up my mushrooms, I did a little gelling sample with my jam, and you can see here how nicely it set on the back of my spoon. You can even see a little skin, I think, on the jam in the little container that I had there, and you can see how a gap forms in the middle when I go through it with my finger, which means the jam is setting very nicely and it won't be runny. At this point my jam was still pretty hot, and I took my hot jars out of my oven where I had sterilized them. I also sterilized the lids by boiling them in some hot water. You never want to fill cold liquid into a hot glass jar or hot liquid into a cold glass jar, because it can make the jar break and then all your efforts are for nothing. It will be very disheartening, so just wait a little until the jam is cooled down slightly but not cold, and then you can fill them in your jars very nicely. And using a funnel like I am doing here will also make your life a lot easier when you're filling your jars, just because you have a better control of the jam and you can really nicely see how it fills up so quickly. And you are definitely minimizing the mess that you're making with the jam. I also wiped my rims of the jars with some vinegar just to make sure that there is no actual jam on them, because that can inhibit your jars from sealing, and you definitely don't want that if you're going through all this effort. So just make sure that everything is nice and clean, and screw the lids finger tight. So you don't want to screw them too tight because the air needs to be able to escape to create a vacuum. I then put them in my stock pot, which I am always using to water bath candies. Like I said before, I don't have this middle inlet. I definitely want to buy one, but a towel, 100% cotton towel, works as well. To lay that in the bottom, I always double layer it and then put my jars on top, as you saw. And I always work with a thermometer when I'm canning, just to make sure that they're canning at the right temperature, and it's just easier to have an eye on them. So while my jams were canning away right next to me, I was prepping dinner, and I had already sauteed some meat and some onions, and now I added my mushrooms to create a beautiful mushroomy pasta sauce. Mushroom pasta is one of our favorite things, especially in the fall time. While the mushroom sauce for the pasta was cooking away, I also weighed our blueberries that we foraged earlier that day, just because I wanted to know how much we got. My main plan for these was to make jam with them, which we ended up doing, but not that day. That didn't happen this day. I was pretty tired at this point, but I did end up cleaning up these blueberries, and I just picked out some of the leaves that accidentally got foraged, and I just, cleaned them up. I rinsed them under the water a couple of times and picked out any like little stems or whatever was in the way that is not supposed to go into the jam. And in the meanwhile, our raspberry jams also finished canning. I had an eye on them thanks to the thermometer the whole time, so I know that they canned at the right temperature, and you can see how nicely like bulbous those lids are at the moment. That is supposed to be like this. And later on that night, we've also heard the clicking sound, so I know they've sealed perfectly. You can also tell with these kind of like lids, if they've sealed, they will have kind of an indentation in the middle, and the lid will not click on it anymore when you press. So you can be pretty sure about your seal with these, and that's why I love to use them, especially for jams. I stored my blueberries in my fridge until I was ready to make jam with them, and I think it took me 4 days from this day on to start making the jam, just because I did not have any time. I think most gardeners or people who are building their home pantry are very, very busy in the summer, just because you're really putting in the effort to preserve your harvest so you can build your own pantry. A lot of people underestimate of how much effort actually goes into building your own pantry. It sometimes can feel like a second job, but we do it because we love it. At this point, my mushroom pasta was also done, and I was so ready to enjoy dinner with Cristin. I tried it here for the first time, and it was just so incredibly good. I remembered I had some parmesan in my freezer that I needed to use up, and it really gave it a nice kick. I swear we maybe left home for 24 hours and suddenly there were 5 large zucchinis that appeared out of nowhere, and a bunch of my purple sprouting broccoli is also ready, and I need to harvest my potatoes. August is busy and I am running out of freezer space. I'm not running out, I actually do not have any more freezer space. It's completely full. So I need to do something else with these zucchinis because there's only so much we can eat fresh. So what I am going to try to do, because I don't have a dehydrator, is I will try to dehydrate these in my oven. It is gonna take a while, but hopefully it will get rid of my zucchini problem. I was gifting them away the whole time to my friends and colleagues, but I'm on my vacation right now, so I don't see a lot of them. And everyone else I know also has a garden and the same zucchini problem. I'm seriously considering putting them next to the road so just people can pick them up. But what I'm doing right now is I salted these lightly so the main water can escape already, and then we're gonna push these through a clean dish towel too. And later or tomorrow I will try to do a zucchini cream soup with these. This is how much liquid I squeezed out after letting them initially drop their main liquid. And I've got them in the oven now at 80 degrees. I don't know if that's the right temperature. We'll see if we have to adjust it. But I think it's gonna take at least 5 hours, if not more. Oh, and by the way, I'm also canning my blueberry jam right now. I've also made more pickles the other day. These turned out super good. And I've already canned up 3 jars of blueberry jam. And this is the raspberry jam we made the other day. The pantry is definitely growing because up here we have a bunch more jars. Oh, and by the way, I'm gonna harvest my potatoes now. I'm not gonna put that footage in this video just because it's kind of our tradition now to have a special potato harvest video, because it's always a very, very special day for us here. Potatoes are one of our favorite things to grow, and harvesting them is one of our favorite days of the year. So you're gonna see the potato harvest in a special video, but I promise it's coming very, very soon. And I'm so excited to show you, and I'm so excited to harvest these right now. And I think it's actually perfect timing too, just because it looks like a storm is brewing outside. And right now the soil is nice and dry, but I think After that storm hits, it's gonna be wet, so we better get those potatoes out the ground. I will wait until my timer goes off for the blueberry jam, and then I'm gonna go harvest the potatoes today. Happy Sunday, friends. It's actually already Pantry Challenge week 3. I forgot to vlog anything this week, honestly, because we were actually not at home most of the time. We were on vacation for 3 days, just at some Airbnb here in Estonia. And then yesterday we were away as well. We were at a local festival, so we weren't really cooking at home much. But I am currently prepping dinner for tonight, and I'm making chili con carne. And I thought, why not take you along? I will just add this day of Pantry Challenge week 3 to our week 2 that I'm gonna post. But I promise you that I will film a lot more next week. And we have a lot of weeks of Pantry Challenge to go, so I think it's gonna be okay. But let me just show you, because I made the most amazing bread. I think it's the best bread I've ever made this far, and we've already eaten half of this loaf. I made it this morning, like I baked it this morning, and we've already eaten half of the loaf. It is that good. It's so soft, incredibly soft, and so moist and like juicy too. I will definitely write down that recipe for you guys. Oh, it's just so good, and it's so easy to do too. This is actually a yeasted bread, so it's not a sourdough, but it has quite a long fermenting time, but it is so worth it. And I thought that we can have that for dinner tonight, next to our chili, just like a slice of bread probably. But let's start with the chili, because it's already, I think, like 4 or almost 5 in the afternoon, so we gotta get dinner going. I did thaw 2 packages of minced meat from my freezer. We're gonna start with that. And we also need 2 onions. I think I have actually 2 left in here. We need 2 bigger ones. I just processed some onions and some garlic with you guys this week on YouTube Live. Thanks for all the love on that live stream, by the way. And here is the garlic braid that we made together. This is hard night garlic. Yes, you can braid hard night garlic. It's harder than braiding soft night garlic, but it is possible, and look how beautiful this garlic braid is. Isn't this just stunning? And my last garlic braid, so the one I made last year, lasted me until this year in May. So it does store quite well. And we also need garlic for this chili. I do probably have to run out in the garden and grab a chili pepper. I have lemon drop peppers ready, and they have the perfect heat, in my opinion, for chili. Wait, I actually also have jalapenos that need to be used up, so maybe we're gonna use the jalapenos instead of a lemon drop, because Cristin doesn't like it when it's too hot, and the lemon drop have way more heat than the jalapenos. I also have some garlic cloves still in here, and I have a lot of zucchini to use up, and a lot of homegrown carrots too. I'm actually doing some shorts where I show you what I do with my zucchinis, bunch of different ways. It's like a mini series that I do on my shorts. So if you also have a lot of zucchini to use up, then definitely check it out. I'm gonna start posting it next week. Then I also took out the tallow from my fridge, because we're gonna use that for the fat that we're gonna use to saute the onions. Let's cube up these onions first. By the way, look at this corking on this jalapeno. This one is definitely ready, but it looks so funny because half of it is still green and the other half is red. This one here is actually a perfect example of what an onion looks like when it flowers inside. I think the flowering stem didn't really make it out, but you can see how it's like all squished in there, and it should be perfectly smooth, and it isn't. You could still probably eat it, but because this is a little soft, it's not moldy or anything, but it's a little soft, so I'm just gonna take it out. And we're gonna put this to my compost. Actually, while we're chopping the onions, I can preheat my Dutch oven already. And we can put some of our tallow in this pot. I baked bread in this pot this morning, so there's like the water stain on there, but that doesn't really matter. It's just a water stain. And I think that I will actually add my meat first, because I want the meat to get a little browning before I add my onions and my garlic. This is minced meat from our local butchery. It's kind of lean minced meat. Are you also like that in between every step in the kitchen you have to wash your hands? I don't know. I'm like that. And I can't like turn it off. It makes me crazy sometimes. And I'm using 2 packages for our chili because I'm making a bit more chili because we can eat it tomorrow as well for lunch or something. Garlic. So mild. I think we can use maybe all 3 of these. While the meat was cooking away on our stove, I went to my spice drawer to pick out some spices for our chili. Let me start by saying these are probably not the traditional spices for chili con carne. I'm just using here what we like in our chili. I did deviate from what I usually use for our chili because you will see that I use some smoked chicken stock as well. And I also used a beef stock cube. But just as for the spices, I used some smoked paprika powder, I used some salt, I used a bay leaf, I used pepper, and also ground cumin. While these spices may not be your traditional chili con carne spices, they gave our dish such a complex and deep flavor. They blend together perfectly, and you can really taste almost each spice individually. I also ended up reducing our meat down with the spices with some red wine that I had open anyway. This is some Zinfandel, and I used about 150 milliliters. I poured it in there and just let it reduce down for about, I think, 10 minutes or something, and it really helped to develop the flavor a lot deeper and give it more complexity too. And so because chili con carne does not only consist of meat as far as I know, I also went to my pantry to pick up some past tomatoes, and I picked up some black beans and sweet corn as well. I picked up double the amount of everything that I would usually use for a single meal portion, just because I made double the recipe because we wanted to have enough to eat lunch the next day, although we actually didn't end up eating it the next day. We ended up eating it for dinner another day, but it was still delicious and I'm happy I made the double portion. And as I've said before, I also added smoked chicken stock, which I keep in my freezer. If you were with me when we made this, you know that this is so good and such a flavor bump, honestly. Smoked chicken stock, I made this for the first time this year, and we get smoked chickens from our local butchery here, and I kept the carcasses of those smoked chickens. We usually use the smoked chicken to make like a potato salad or just snack on it, and at some point I was thinking, why waste the carcasses? Because if you get a rotisserie chicken from the store, you oftentimes keep the carcass to make chicken stock. And so I thought, why not make smoked chicken stock with the smoked chicken carcasses? So that's what we did. And I will definitely do that again in the future because it is that good. It's also fantastic for making sauces or when you're just making soup and you want something a little extra special. So if you've never tried that, then definitely go ahead and make some smoked chicken stock. I will try to link the video in the description box down below where we made that together so you can see how it's done. The timer just went off and this is what it's looking like. It boiled down pretty well and it's gotten a lot more smooth and less liquidy. You can see here. I had it boiling on high for 30 minutes and now we can add our beans and our corn to it. Stir it in. You might need to add a little more water to this. It's pretty thick. I'll add about 200 milliliters. Let's try this for a second. So good already. Yum. I could just eat it like that, honestly. It doesn't need anything. It's perfectly balanced with the flavor. I'm gonna take this for myself. But this still has to cook for another 30 minutes. And I'm gonna leave it on medium now, so not high. I will, however, put the lid on of my Dutch oven, but I will crack it. So just like that. I had the lid cracked also already earlier after I stirred it. Can set the timer for another 30 minutes and then we'll come back in half an hour and see if our chili is ready. This is so good already. The only thing is I feel like it could use a lot more heat, but I know Cristin doesn't like it when it's hot. And it's a very mild chili that I'm doing right now. I would add a bunch more hot peppers if I could. But I want this to be enjoyable for him too. So we're gonna leave it like this maybe. I can always add more to my own bowl. Our chili is ready. I'm just gonna cut some bread right now. We're gonna have this on the side. Look how good this bread looks, and it's so fluffy and soft. It's just perfect. And then this is how our chili turned out. It turned out amazing. It's nice and thick and super, super flavorful. Like I said, I tasted this before and I thought it didn't need anything except then maybe some spice in my opinion. But like I said, I want this to be enjoyable for Cristin, so I kept it pretty mild. I might add some dried lemon pepper from my spice pantry to my own bowl. Here it is. I dried these last year. These are lemon drop peppers from my garden last year. So good. I will add some, I think 1 pepper might be enough. They're super dry, so I will just take the stem off and then crush it into my bowl. Just a nice spicy topping. This is my bowl. You can see the lemon drop peppers here, and this is Cristin's bowl. And we're gonna go enjoy dinner now. We have plenty of chili left for tomorrow as a lunch. I'm so excited for this dinner now. But if you've made it this far, then thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate you being here and supporting my channel. If you like content like this, then please consider subscribing. And with that being said, never forget, you are worthy, you are loved. I hope you have the most amazing day, and I hope to see you back much next time. Bye!